Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 710, 710, March the 3rd, 2019, Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well let's talk a little bit about Trump's speech at CPAC. It was a pretty long speech for a CPAC speech. I assume that most of you watched Trump at CPAC. It was a pretty good speech. My favorite moment, there was a lot of good moments there, but my favorite moment was, of course, well, he was talking about the Mueller witch hunt and Sessions and all that stuff, but he did the Sessions impression. It was funny. I'm going to recuse myself. But what was actually probably one of his biggest applause lines was when he was talking about the Mueller witch hunt, and he said, yeah, he said they're trying to take you out with bullshit. Trying to take you out with bullshit. That was great. He got a big applause line there, and a few of those. But anyway, yeah, Trump gave a great speech at CPAC, and kind of went after the people who were going after him. And you know, if you're listening, Mr. Barr, and I don't know if Mr. Barr was there, probably not, but hopefully he tuned in, because it's getting pretty obvious based on what Trump said at that speech at CPAC and the previous tweets that came out on Saturday, that pretty much the same thing you saw him do with Sessions is, you know, he's trying to light a fire there and say, hey, you know, you need to look into the things that went down in 2016 on the other side. And so hopefully Barr is paying attention, because I said I would give him about 2 to 3 months to act, to appoint a special counsel or launch some indictments or something, because there's a lot of bad stuff went down in 2016. We all know what it was. This has been out there long enough now. Everyone knows that the dossier was total bunk, and that it was used to open at least, it sounds like, 5 different investigations, to get FISA warrants, to put confidential informants inside the Trump campaign, to run frame-up operations. I mean, it's incredible what was done based on the dossier, which we know is garbage, and we now know that they knew it was garbage, and they used it anyway. Mr. Barr, please pay attention and act accordingly. You promised Lindsey, when Lindsey said, will you look into these things? And he said, yes, Mr. Chairman. We're watching. Well, it appears that this idiot demo commie, Rashida Tlaib, paid herself $17,500 from her campaign funds after the election. That's a violation of campaign finance law. So it appears both her and Ocasio-Marty Feldman-Cortez, the wild-eyed commies, it looks like they've both gotten themselves into a little bit of a pickle. Learn the rules. You better learn the rules. That's what I have to say. We'll see what happens. And of course, we have Adam the bug-eyed fool Schiff is now going to call Felix Sater. Felix Sater. The former felon and Russian mobster. They're going to call him up to the House Intelligence Committee to so Schiff can pursue his investigation into Trump's finances. He's forgotten all about Russian collusion. He just forgot all about that. Now he's on to Trump's finances. I mean, look if they've called as witnesses Cohen and now Sater. I mean, this would be comedy. You couldn't sell this in a movie or a book. No one would buy it. I mean, you bring up a guy with no credibility like Cohen. You turn around and bring up a guy with less credibility, Felix Sater. I mean, I believe he is being credited for being source E in the dossier who gave the PP-Gate story. Now, that's also been accredited to some other person, but who knows? But it was one of those two. What's his name? Can't remember his name right now, but when it comes to me, I'll tell you. But anyway, they're basically both being said to be the source E of the dossier, which is the one that talked about the PP-Gate story. So anyway, we have this Felix Sater. We know what he did. He pilfered $40 million in a Bernie Madoff type scheme in fraud. He committed fraud. Of course, he was given a $25,000 fine. And he promised to become a government informant. Now, of course, the attorney who worked the deal with Sater was Leslie Caldwell. She is a former colleague of Get Back Loretta Lynch at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Caldwell later went on to head up the DOJ's criminal division. Andrew Weissman, of course, signed the cooperation agreement between Sater and the government. Caldwell, Lynch, and Weissman all went on to serve in the Obama administration, Department of Justice. It's what you call birds of a feather. Birds of a feather, flocking together. So Sater was involved in the plan to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. Of course, Trump abandoned the project. It's the hotel that doesn't exist, but Schiff is going to investigate the hotel that doesn't exist anyway. So this will just prove to be another delusional conspiracy theory, using lies and liars like Cohen and Sater, because he knows, again, that the Russian collusion delusion has run out of gas. Of course, you can find photos of Sater posing with Loretta Lynch, with Bill Clinton. We know he's close associates of the Clintons. He also is posing in a photo, all smiles, with Rachel Madcow. And of course, what was going on here is that Michael Cohen and Sater were trying to use Trump's fame and his wealth to put a few bucks in their pocket. They were trying to cook up this Trump Tower in Moscow deal. It wasn't Trump's idea. It was Sater and Cohen that were trying to put this together. And eventually Trump just decided not to do it. And you have Cohen in the testimony behind closed doors saying that the thing actually didn't end before Trump ran for president, that they were still negotiating this after he ran for president, or after he became president even. And of course, this is what they're hoping to get out of Felix Sater. They're hoping to get Cohen and Sater both saying that Trump was still considering the Trump Tower project while he was either after he'd been elected president, or while he was president-elect, or possibly after he won the nomination. At any of these time periods, they think that would be a problem. Of course, it wouldn't be a problem. Not at all. There's nothing illegal about it. And the fact is, it never got built. Trump didn't do it. But Sater and Cohen were looking to try to squeeze a few bucks for themselves by being middlemen in the deal, using Trump, his wealth, his fame, and his ability to be a guy who's heavy enough of a player that if you suggested putting a Trump Tower in Moscow, a lot of investors would be willing to listen to that and possibly invest in it. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to run this scheme where they got Trump to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. They were going to be the middlemen. They would go out and find all the financiers, put the deal together, and they would get a cut in the overall thing. It was a little money-making project by Sater and Cohen, and it didn't work out because Trump decided not to do it, and now they got the poo-poos. What's going to come out of it? Nothing. Just political theater. Political theater is all it is. Absolutely pathetic. This continues to go on. Well, we have another demo commie throwing his hat into the ring. And of course, this is someone most of us have never heard of. I'd never heard of him until I read the story. But he's the governor of the state of Washington. I'm sure Peter can tell us all about that. Peter probably knows this governor quite well. I'll be looking forward to Peter's comment in the comments section about this governor. His name is Jay Inslee. Now, Jay Inslee is, of course, the new demo commie, the newest demo commie, to throw his hat into the ring. And he's running on one issue and one issue only. It's the only issue he's going to run on. He doesn't have a platform on 8 or 10 different things. No. He's running on one issue. Climate change. I remember after the 2016 election, even after the 2018 midterms, both of those last two elections, there was a story I read at the time, and it was showing these aggregate of polls where they were asking people what issues were the most important to them that they voted on in 2018, and they did it again in 2016. And it showed this long list of things that people were concerned about as far as issues. And if I remember correctly, in one of those, climate change wasn't even in the list of like 25 things they had, and the other list had like 50 things, and I think climate change was number 37. Number 37. So this guy and many Democrats are going to go out and make their entire campaign about climate change. If the Democrats go out and run a national election trying to win on climate change, they're going to get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. No one gives a damn. No one gives a damn. Of course the climate's changing. It's been changing for 4.3 billion years. And it's going to keep changing some more. And eventually, the planet's going to become just a big frozen ball of ice. So it's going to keep changing. Oh yeah, we're heading for another ice age. Every 11,500 years we have an ice age. We just went over the plateau of moving away from the last 11,500 year ice age. We crossed that about 30 years ago, and now we're heading down back into the next downward cycle into another ice age. And that will occur in about 11,100, 200, 300 years, somewhere in that range. Over a little over 11,000 years. We're not, so if we really wanted to help ourselves, we'd be doing everything we could to warm the planet. Because in 11,000 some odd hundred years, we're going to have another ice age in North America. And there's not a damn thing that we can do about it. And we had nothing to do with it. It's been happening for hundreds of thousands of years. So, this governor, Jay Inslee, has zero chance. Zero chance. Now, he sounds like a nut, but this is mainly what the story was about. He, of course, is going to be in the presidential field, and it should just add to the humor and the silliness and the ridiculousness of it all. I mean, you think it's a freak show now? It's going to get worse. And wait till the rotten Reverend Clinton starts battling with Joe Biden to be the person to lose to Trump in 2020 in a big way. It's going to get even funnier. You got Hillary's former co-chair and spokesperson out there yesterday saying that we need someone who can bring the country together. That's Hillary language. That's Hillary talk. I'm telling you, she's working it hard, and she's probably working with her allies to try to throw a wrench into the spokes of Biden, probably digging into everything that they can get on Biden so someone can send him a little note and say, by the way, Joe, you may not want to run because this may come out. Where would that come from? The rotten Reverend. I'm sure she's got her people working double overtime on that one. And they're also in the process of taking out Bernie again. Here's something I'm very happy about. Trump announced at CPAC that he is going to be soon, he's going to be signing an executive order. And this executive order is basically going to say that you must allow for free speech on all college campuses if you want to receive federal money. If you shut down free speech on a college campus and you are currently receiving federal funds, which is most of them, you will no longer receive federal funds. Excellent move. This is an excellent move because this has been going on for far too long. We've seen conservatives being blocked from speaking at colleges. We have these free speech zones. This stuff is insanity. Insanity by the left. And Trump's going to put a stop to it. That's exactly right. So yes, I'll be very happy to see him sign this executive order, which will keep any college who blocks free speech on campus from receiving federal funds. What'll be actually even more humorous, this will be great. This is one we can all applaud. And what'll be funny is watching the lefties on CNN and MSNBC attack Trump for this. Can you see the lefties? Do you think that they will come out and attack Trump for trying to promote and preserve free speech on campus? Oh yeah! Watch it! It's going to happen. And we'll cover it right here, and we'll all have a big laugh together watching the mainstream media try to skewer Trump for trying to preserve free speech. The media is going to attack Trump for trying to preserve free speech. Watch. Watch and see. Then we have this other nut on the fake news, the king of fake news, CNN. Her name, she's a real nutcase. Her name is Samantha Vinograd. Samantha Vinograd. So she's talking about Trump's speech at CPAC. And she says that his speech reminded her of a lot of despotic leaders that talked about white heritage. Who's she talking about? She's referring to Hitler. That's right, it's another Hitler reference from another lefty. See, the lefties, they didn't like Hitler very much, right? They surely didn't. Even though he was a lefty. Imagine that. He was a socialist. Hitler was a democratic socialist. Yes, he was. She also said that the speech sounded like it was written by Putin. Can't get off of it, man. I'm telling you, this is a mental disorder. I mean, I remember Michael Savage for years had that tagline, that liberalism is a mental disorder. And I used to hear him say that, and I didn't think much about it. But the more I watched, and the closer I watched, and especially when after 2016, I was like, that thing that Michael Savage used to always say, he's right, and he saw this 10 years ago. Well done, Michael Savage, because I didn't take it too seriously back then. But now I know exactly what he's talking about, and of course he's from San Francisco, so he's had his finger on this, on the pulse of this for a long time. And he's absolutely right. I can now say Michael Savage, 100% correct. Liberalism is a mental disorder. But Trump has taken it to a whole new level. It's beyond just simple liberalism. Now it's something much, much worse. It's absolutely some kind of an epidemic. And as I said a couple weeks ago, there's already now people in the medical field. It was a sex doctor was one who we talked about 2 weeks ago, who are now basically making that case. But it won't come full tilt boogie until we actually see some leftist trying to avoid prosecution for some crime by using Trump derangement syndrome, or what they call Trump anxiety disorder. When I actually see a lefty trying to use Trump anxiety disorder as the reason to beat a rap, that's when we'll know we've truly come full circle. That's when we know we will have finally crossed the Rubicon into complete insanity. Insanity. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I watch CNN so you don't have to. And believe me, I watch as little as it takes. Sound bites, clips is all I can watch. I don't sit around and watch CNN, by the way. I watch little clips, 2-3 minute clips. That's all I need. Well, again, I mean, there's now, there's now a New Jersey high school that is going to ban kids from taking a limo to the prom because of income inequality. Income inequality. And this school is the Lakeland Regional High School. They're going to make them take the bus. Everybody's got to take the bus. Now, I don't remember. I guess it happened. I didn't go to my senior prom. I think I may have went to the junior prom. I think I went to the senior prom. But I don't recall a lot of limos rolling up. But, I know some people did rent the limo or whatever. We had a few rich kids in our school, but mostly just kind of like middle class. But, yeah, this whole idea. Now, this is in New Jersey. Now, you would think New Jersey, this thing would go over like gangbusters. But apparently, the reason that this is in the news is because there's certain parents are going to be staging a protest against this, and rightly they should. Unfortunately, they'll probably not have any legal recourse because a school can kind of make up the rules for their own proms, and I guess that includes how you get to the prom. So here you have, but what worries me about this, what I don't like about this, is just another example of communism disguised as democratic socialism, where they use the phrase income inequality. See, this is how they recruit these young skulls full of mush into the communist movement. They look at them and say, look at everybody else, how much they got, and you ain't got nothing. And it's because of income inequality. And by doing this, knowing good and well that you have a fairly large number of these people, especially young people, who have not even gotten their careers started yet. Many of them loaded down with college debt. They have no work experience. They're not going to go out and get a great paying job right now. They're going to have to do like everybody else, start at the bottom and work their way up. That's what we all had to do. Did any of you start out at the top? I didn't. I started out as a busboy. Busboy in a restaurant. Went in the army. Got out of the army. Went to school. Still started out entry level at the bottom of the rank. And still trying to scratch and claw my way up the ladder like everyone else. They want people to believe that somehow, as soon as you become an adult, you should automatically have bestowed upon you income equality. You should get an equal share of the pie. This is wealth redistribution. This is communism. And the problem with this is that there's no way that you will ever have, even if you tried to do this, the same people who are selling you, like Ocasio-Cortez and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, these same people that will try to sell everybody else on the fact that we need to have income equality, they're not talking about themselves. Oh, no. Bernie is a multimillionaire. If Ocasio-Cortez can last 5 years in Congress, she'll be a multimillionaire. Pelosi is a multi-millionaire. Her and her husband are worth over 150 mil. So the people who preach this shit and recruit the young commies, they are in the top 1 or 2 or 5%. And what they sell to the young and dumb is that somehow they've been cheated, and so therefore we need an income equality. And this is impossible. You cannot have income equality, even if you wanted to. It just simply will. There's no way to do that unless you have a total communist system. You could not have guaranteed income equality in a free market capitalist system. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. There's no way to make that happen. I don't care how you rig the tax code. It's never, ever going to happen. Everything will eventually reach equilibrium. The people who are earners will always become the best earners. That's just how it is. And the only thing that we should strive for is equality and opportunity. I'm all for leveling the playing field by allowing everyone to have equal opportunity. No one should be held back because of, various things, their race, their color, their religion, whatever. Everyone should have the equal opportunity to succeed in America. But the idea that we're going to have equal outcomes of any kind of outcome is crazy talk, and it's the talk of commies. When you hear the term equality, you're talking to a commie. Just so you know that. That's the red flag. When you hear someone use the phrase income equality, you know you're talking to a commie. Hardcore. Dyed in the wool. Well, looks like Ocasio Marty Feldmanized Cortez, the wild-eyed commie, is getting hammered on Twitter by the co-founder of Greenpeace. The co-founder of Greenpeace wrote on Twitter. First, he calls Ocasio-Cortez, he calls her a pompous little twit. Pompous little twit. And then he goes on to say, you don't have a plan to grow food for 8 billion people without fossil fuels or get the food into cities. Horses? ? If fossil fuels were banned, every tree in the world would be cut down for fuel and cooking and heating. You would bring about mass death. Yeah, that's just one of the many things that you could say. But yes, that's quite funny that the co-founder of Greenpeace is hammering Marty Feldman, Eyes Cortez, and there's so many ways that you could hammer her. And yes, he's making a very good point. You eliminate fossil fuels, the world would essentially go into the dark ages, and there would be mass starvation. You can't have massive worldwide food distribution or production without fossil fuels. Plain and simple. She's not smart enough to know that, though, because she's a commie. Then we have Cortez herself getting involved in the Twitter game yesterday. And so she tweets out, quote, ICE is a dangerous agency with zero accountability. Widespread reporting of rape, abuse of power, and children dying in DHS custody. She says that ICE is injecting kids with unknown substances. Well, those are a lot of claims. Widespread reporting of rape. I'm not familiar with that. I haven't heard ICE being accused of rape. I know they have to go after some pretty nasty people. I know they're a rough group. You don't want to be, have your door kicked in by ICE. I'll be the first to admit it's not a pleasant experience. And I don't like police states. Generally would be someone who would, generally be someone who I want to have a lot of accountability for all these militarized police forces in the federal government, state government, what have you. But I think this is way over the top with ICE. I think there probably are, like in all law enforcement, probably individual bad apples here and there. But I honestly have not heard about an ICE agent raping anyone. But I've certainly heard about a lot of the people that they arrest raping a lot of people, murdering a lot of people, committing lots and lots of crime. I would say that about probably 99% of ICE is good, and that they're actually getting a lot of really, really bad guys out of the country, and that you got your 1 or 2 or maybe even 5 or it could be 10% of bad apples. But an overwhelming massive majority of what they're doing is probably benefiting the country. And again, whenever you see a rogue cop or ICE agent or DHS agent or FBI agent or anything else, I'll be the first to call out a rogue cop, because I am a civil liberties guy, I'm a libertarian, and I don't like the police state. But, a lot of these gangs that come into this country, there's some really bad people, man. These are some monsters. And, you can't send sissies out to go after these type of people. You got to find some pretty tough individuals to even take a job in ICE and go out and deal with that kind of... They deal with the worst of the worst, man. And when you're dealing with the worst of the worst, you got to find the type of people who will do that job. And I imagine there's some pretty nasty characters themselves, So, anyway, that's the latest on Ocasio-Cortez. She's nuts. I hope more Democrats get on board with this idea, and the election in 2020 will be an absolute landslide. Loss for the Democrats. The Demo-commies. Well, we have Man in Botox, Pelosi's spokesperson, saying that he will take all necessary steps, including litigation, to get President Trump's tax returns. Well, how about Madam Botox's tax returns? How about your tax returns, spokesperson for Madam Pelosi? Would you like to see? Can we see your tax returns? Why not yours and why Trump's? He's a private citizen, just like everyone else. He's a politician, but so is Nancy Pelosi. So what are we saying here? Just the president and the vice president and nobody else? Funny, you weren't interested in when Obama was president. You weren't interested in that when Clinton was president. And do you think if the Rotten Reverend were president, you'd be wanting to look at her tax returns? Or anything having to do with the foundation or the Clinton Global Initiative? I don't think so. Pure politics. That's all Madam Botox knows how to do. That's all she knows how to do. Everything is pure politics with Madam Botox. And that's why she's a dismal failure. Exactly that. Well, we have the Hill-Harris poll, X-poll that came out, and it shows that 37% find Michael Cohen's testimony is not, or only 37% of people find Michael Cohen's testimony to be credible. Only 37%, I'm surprised it's that high. 37% find Michael Cohen's testimony credible. Well, that means about, 63% find it's not credible? Well, it's 2-1. 2-1 believe that Michael Cohen's bullshitting, and he is. And I think now we know why, based on the story I read to you yesterday. It appears that Uncle Bob the Executioner threatened his wife with 30 years in jail if he didn't attack Trump. We have another poll, the Harvard-Harris poll. 75% of people polled favor, and these are registered voters, 75% favor America First policies of immigration and trade for 2020 candidates. 75% of people, registered voters, polled, want to see America First policies like immigration and trade for their 2020 candidates. I wonder how many Democrats are going to be running on a America First policy for immigration and trade. I'm thinking zero. That's just a guess. Well, Commie Bernie's out there campaigning on $15 an hour. $15 an hour. We should have a minimum wage of $15 an hour. Well, you know, $15 an hour in Ohio is a pretty good wage. But $15 an hour in New York is chump change. $15 an hour in New York's probably poverty. You know, $15 an hour in Georgia is pretty good money. $15 an hour in California, nope, not so much. So to say you're going to have a federal wage of $15 an hour is just stupid. It would probably hurt people in New York and California. Probably help a lot of people in those red states in Georgia and Ohio and Indiana and Kentucky where $15 an hour would be great. Problem is, it would kill business. And that's exactly what has happened. What if we rolled out Bernie's $15 an hour? What if we rolled that out across the country? Well, we'd probably get the same results they got in New York when they rolled it out in 2015. Which is, in 2015, they rolled out a mandatory $15 an hour for fast food workers in New York. Fast food workers have to be paid $15 an hour in New York as of 2015. Now the results are in. 76.5% of restaurants employees and fast food restaurant employees experienced reduced hours. Reduced hours. Why? So they couldn't be full-time. Then 36% eliminated the jobs altogether. That's like 1 in 3. 1 in 3 fast food worker jobs eliminated altogether because of the $15 an hour minimum wage for restaurants, fast food restaurants. 76.5% reduced in the hours. And the annual unemployment for fast food restaurant workers in New York went from 6.6% to 1%. There you go. It's just a microcosm of what would happen, and would be worse, actually, if you rolled this out, because that's New York. If you rolled this out across the country, it would be devastating. Devastating. I think it would probably put an end to fast food restaurants. They would just got a business. It couldn't operate. It couldn't afford. People will not pay the menu prices to eat fast food for what we'd have to pay if they had to pay people $15 an hour. No sane business person would try to make a profit when he has to pay that kind of money in a state like Ohio or Indiana, Kentucky or whatever, or anywhere in the South. I mean, it's just it would probably just about end the fast food restaurant business unless they just invented robots to take your order. You know, it'd be like you go up and press a button on a menu outside at the drive-thru, and you'd pull up to a window, and you know they'd shoot a sandwich out of a hole in the wall, and you'd grab your sandwich and your Coke and go. You know, wouldn't even be a human. It would eliminate, probably, if they couldn't find a way to do it with robots and eliminate all human employees, they would probably just not even do it. No businessman would invest in a fast food restaurant. Nobody would go pay the prices. I mean, it would be a disaster. It would be a disaster, just as it has been in New York. Bernie was on The View. I think on Friday, and he was he was asked if he was going to seek advice from the Rotten Reverend. Here is the Rotten Reverend right now. She's got her goon squad out destroying Bernie. He had this town hall thing at CNN, and they put a bunch of DNC plants in there, trying to make him squirm on this comment he made about why he didn't look into the sexual harassment claims on his campaign, and he was making all the excuses for that. So they hit him there, and then the next day he goes on The View, and they squeeze him some more, and they ask him if he's seeking advice from the Rotten Reverend Clinton, and he said, "I think not." We have fundamental differences. Yeah. Is the Rotten Reverend going to help Bernie? They have fundamental differences. You bet they do. Alrighty. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.